Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to focus in on the remote collar as a tool and how it is that oftentimes, some dogs can continue to hold a level of control by way of how this tool is employed, by, again, the issue of basically like having a conversation. That's the best way to kind of think about this when it comes to beginning to fade into the relationship. The whole issue of the role of influence in the equation, but again, how that conversation plays out. How it's defined in terms of how you're connecting, through, again, the leash, and the collar are the foundational tools. Understand that needs to be the primary focus. I talk about like the core, the method, the issue of having a conversation, versus a type of tool like a remote collar, which can become a type of kind of disconnected conversation. And this is where, again, I talk about dogs being amazing animals. There's a level of this. Understand that dogs really are amazing, in how they connect with us that way. And again, the best way to look at this, issue, when people look at, say, where the remote collar isn't, really aligning properly, in terms of advocating, and the dog's ability to be able to almost like push through it, where you got to turn up the juice, and especially with some dogs, understand some caliber dogs, this is where that disconnect will become more kind of profound, and you'll be wondering what's going on here, and then you'll have a bad moment, like, the dog will get kind of nasty, which again is about giving you information to let you know, that there's a gap, there's a disconnect, by way of how you're perceived in that. And again, this is where, again, I really encourage people, this is where you have to go right back to the core method, in terms of how it lines up, in terms of having a very specific conversation. Because this is where, again, when I talk about, the remote collar and people using it and they're trying to line it up a certain way, they're looking at a dog express a certain level of control, and they're dialing up, dialing it down, trying to use it as a effective tool to create change with dogs. And again, it becomes a major it can become a major issue with, again, the ability for some dogs to be able to push through it, again, versus, again, through the leash and just a collar. And again, talk about using a choke chain, using a flat collar, but again, the issue about being able to make adjustments. Again, this is all part of the conversation. So as a dog is just beginning to express a level of control, just as their head begins to turn, you're in direct conversation at a deep level through the ability to use that tool effectively. And this is where it gets into the real kind of art form of things. This is where, again, talk about being dialed in and being able to make certain adjustments. But again, understand it's about having a very personal conversation through that tool, because how it connects and how you're using it, how you're dialed in, how you're just set at times so subtle. You don't have that same dynamic with remote collar. Understand that it's like being lost in translation. That's the best way to kind of best theme or way to look at it is it's impossible to have that being dialed in the same way. It just can't happen through a remote collar like that. And understand that some dogs in some situations absolutely need it. You need to have that level of being dialed in as you're developing. And that's the other thing. Understand there's a level here too where your mind has to be able to work a certain way. You have to be able to, the integrity of what that all means through how you're moving, how you're interacting, how you're expressing through the collar, through the leash, Okay, all that matters, but that's a developmental thing that happens through those devices. You have to strip it down. Understand, you have to bear it down to the very foundation, especially, okay, how this layers up to some dogs. And then once they've already had a level of control. And so understand that all these things play a role. So you have to understand the role of certain tools. The remote collar definitely has a place, okay, but you can't, you can't, allow it to take the place, okay? You gotta, everything I know, okay, everything that I'm able to do, my insight, all those things come through it being bared down to that way, okay? Just a leash, a basic collar, okay, how you're interacting, how you're thinking, okay, everything, every movement has meaning. That's all part of it. So again, all to say that, really think about that. Don't get caught up in that trap of using tools a certain way and then assuming certain things, because dogs are always going to reveal truth, and then suddenly you're blindsided with a bad moment. It's like, well, what just happened? Where'd that come from? Didn't see that coming. Well, it was coming, okay? You didn't see it because you weren't having the right conversation. You weren't maintaining that for a certain period of time. So for some dogs, it's got to extend way out, especially once they've already had a level of control. So I understand all those dynamics play a role in it. I encourage people, don't be discouraged. I mean, you might have a bad moment, but it could be a type of moment where it's having conversation. It's giving you information. Okay, understand everything's fixable. Okay, and it says, okay, I had that moment. What do I need to do? I need to get back to the basics, so to speak. I have to get to the foundation. Perhaps a tool you're using in such a way, and then you're going off leash with the dog, or you're doing certain things, and some dogs you can't get away with it, and you'll see it because it's coming, and you just don't see that it's coming, and then kaboom, you have a really bad moment. So understand the only way to put things to the task. Understand this is where information comes. You have to get to a level where that's your litmus test. That's your foundation. And so the ability to see it coming before it happens, comes through the integrity of the method that way. If you're starting to lean a certain way, start to do certain things a certain way, then suddenly you're blindsided. Well, it means that you didn't have that. That has to be there. That has to be your default. It always has to fall that way. Especially with some dogs. Understand, with some dogs it matters even more. So all to say that, be aware of tools, be aware of, it's about the system, the place of certain things. Everything has a role, but the most important thing is your role in that, how you're perceived, okay? Dogs are amazing animals, and it just, again, when look at these dynamics and these type of interplays, it makes me appreciate dogs even more. They're amazing animals, and they're definitely going to, challenge, okay, and move you in a certain direction, whether you want to go that direction or not. That's just how nature is. I mean, that's just the connection level. But again, take advantage of certain things. Everything's about learning. Okay, it's an opportunity to grow and to get better. But again, it's definitely a journey. Thanks for watching.